We can hit done and then choose to save it to a memory location. I'm going to choose just to save it to location 1. So now we hook up the antenna. With the antenna,
That's really good, but
over the 40-meter band.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
The log magnitude, the reflection coefficient, and we can see the Smith chart. And
Where the dips are on the yellow line.
Our cursor or marker.
But what's the scale?
At various frequencies across the range.
You're going from 50 to 900 megahertz.
Right.
So for example, by touch.
I'm scanning the whole entire thing.
That activates trace
So
number
I can't
1.
tell.
You go into
Hi there.
marker
Howdy.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Jim's making a lot of noise over here.
Him up. Oh, escape. And oh, yeah. Oh, you need this?
If you want to see stuff on the TV.
It's easier when you show it because I like to do it. I get to watch.
So what's going on, Mr. Art?
Well, not much. I got 2 new phones today. One for me and one for Barbara. We had, for many years, had Sprint as our service provider, and they a while back, I guess, merged with T-Mobile. And you know, as in all mergers, for those of you who are married, you'll appreciate this. There are certain learning processes that go on. So one of them was that they have changed technologies, if you will, the spread spectrum technology that they use, so that we were forced to get new phones. Not that that was a bad thing, but we were forced to get new phones because the old phones didn't accommodate the T-Mobile technology. And T-Mobile is gradually doing what all surviving members of a merger do, which is killing off the old stuff. And they're in the process of not only killing off the technology, but also killing off what is left of Sprint. And so it was actually quite a process. We spent 3 hours at the T-Mobile site getting our new phones and new protocols and so forth and so on. It was quite educational, not the sort of education that I find particularly useful, but you know, learning the new relatives and so forth and so on. Anytime you have a marriage of unequals. So it was interesting. We got something called A52. You know, here we go. You can see.
Okay.
They're 5G capable. And so we are in the process. We just got back like, I guess, 2 hours ago and are now in the process of re-educating ourselves. The good news is they're both Androids, and they transferred just about everything that they could possibly transfer, including all the text messaging, which doesn't concern me much, but My wife, who said she was never going to text message, now only limits herself to about 25 text messages a day, some of which are individual and some of which are a group. So she was quite concerned that all those text messages were going to be gone. Well, it turned out they could only reach back like, I don't know, 5 years, something like that. And as a practical matter, 5 years at 25 messages a day, becomes just about irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. What did she say to Aunt May 3.5 years ago? Well, who cares? Okay. So at any rate, it was quite interesting. We got away without being skinned too bad. I think we are paying about an extra $10-12 a month per phone, but we will, frankly, that's less than the inflation rate in the meantime. So I'm not particularly concerned. We'll see how well the phones work. I'm interested to see if anything on 5G is of any particular value yet. So it was an illuminating process, I must say. Fortunately, we've got 3 T-Mobile stores within at most 10 minutes of our house. So, it was pretty convenient, pretty easy, and so forth and so on. And the guy that we finally got to who actually could do something was extremely helpful. So I'm very impressed with that. So anyway, I don't know if any of you have been on T-Mobile or not, but this is my first exposure. Many years ago, I was on Verizon. And when I was at Kaiser, for our company phones, I had a boss who liked to shop for phones. And so we would change phone vendors about, every 3 months or so. So since I left Kaiser, I went to Sprint, and I have been pretty religiously loyal to them in the meantime. Not only that, I've fed their coffers quite a bit of money over the years, but I've generally been satisfied with them, and we'll see how T-Mobile goes. This is my first change since 2003 when I left Kaiser.
T-Mobile around here isn't horrible. There's some dead spots, but it's not horrible. It's all right.
Okay.
Got a quote from Republic for next year.
Yeah.
It's a little less than last year. So there, looks like they're gonna.
Can't hear you, Jim.
I was telling Leroy that Kenny has got a report from Republic, a quote from Republic for next year. And it's a little bit less than last year. We were worried because they changed companies. They got bought out.
Who were they bought out by?
Dish Network. AT&T.
Dish Network. No, AT&T is not Dish.
Yeah, they're switching to AT&T.
Well,
Yeah.
Dish bought the satellite portion. AT&T doesn't get the satellite portion. They dumped it, and the Dish, they were going to dump it.
They're still in cahoots with each other because Republic has switched from Sprint T-Mobile to AT&T, and AT&T cell service sucks. It's horrible, and their customer service is worse.
Well, AT&T has made a career out of having bad service since the 40s that I'm aware of. But that's part of the AT&T mantra, you know, you
Well-
shall give bad service. Okay.
Dish and AT&T are, they were at least owned by at the same time by each other. And they're still in cahoots with each other because they're switching, and they are going to end up saving some money, but only if you switch the plan. If you don't want to switch the plan, it's going to cost the same amount, and you're going to still be stuck with crappy service, which is exactly why people are ticked off at them right now.
Okay.
Their forum is full of just downright, right? I've been with the company since the beginning, and you guys have royally screwed this up. I don't care if you're gonna save your money, I'll go with Boost Mobile because, or I'll go with Mint Mobile because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh, this is interesting. Dish Wireless is an American wireless network provider who's wholly owned subsidiary of Dish Network. Okay, they have divisions, Boost Mobile,
They own Boost too.
Ting
That's
Mobile,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know
I
they
kinda
owned
like
Boost.
Republic.
I didn't know they owned Boost.
Is Dish owned by AT&T? Let's see, somebody asked that. Dish Network announced a deal with AT&T, which is for now is DirecTV's parent company. According to Dish and AT&T have agreed to deal, which Dish will pay AT&T more than $5 billion over 10 years to make AT&T
They're in
Dish's
cahoots with
wireless
each other.
network provider.
$5 billion over how many years?
AT&T Dish wireless network provider.
So
Dish will pay AT&T.
they're going to dump whoever Boost is currently with and use AT&T. They're going to dump whoever Republic is currently with and use AT&T. They're in cahoots with each other. It's a giant pyramid.
Yeah.
Well, Dish is paying AT&T $5 billion. They're gonna buy the satellite portion. That's what they're gonna do. And maybe their phone business too. Maybe that's, I don't know.
It's interesting because 5 billion over more than 5 billion in the communications business is chump change.
Seems
It's,
pretty cheap.
pardon?
That seems very reasonable.
They're
For what they're doing.
just buying they're buying the satellite, which AT&T bought from Dish 7-10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just buying it back.
They're
Could
in
be.
cahoots with each other.
But I guess my point is that $5 billion in the communications business is really, you know, it's literally chump change.
That's
These
right. It was DirecTV before.
Yeah. But they've changed their plans, and they're limiting everybody to only 2 cell phones per account. But with those 2 cell phones, one pays full price and one pays half price. So in reality, you could actually save money with them, but you're going to end up with crappy ass service. Especially around here, AT&T just sucks around here.
Well, we're pretty fortunate here. We sit on top of a hill, and a line of sight out of our back door is a tower. I don't know who occupies that tower, but we're obviously hooked to it because when we close the blinds, the metal blinds that are in our French doors out to our deck, the service goes away. So, I mean, you basically drop in a metal shield there, service goes away. You open the metal shield, or service does. So we're hooked up to that tower. I'm pretty sure of that. And so we get pretty good service as long as we keep the kitchen blinds open, or one of the other rooms in the house. But we're fortunate. I mean, we sit on top of a hill, and over here's another hill that's got a tower on it, and we're probably, you know, I'm guessing 3/4 of a mile away as the crow flies. It doesn't get any better than that.
So Dish is getting into retail wireless, and looks like they're buying AT&T access to the wireless business.
Really?
Yeah, that's the way it sounds. It sounds like they're what is it, NVMO provider is going to be AT&T,
It might be either,
Eva, whatever.
I think.
And King is a subsidiary of Republic. Of Dish, excuse me,
Yeah,
and a couple other.
I actually didn't know they own Boost, so all these people that are pissed off and saying they're going to Boost are just going to end up giving their money to the Dish Network anyway.
They're gonna.
Okay.
King's just coming off of CMSD,
Yeah.
which is really weird. We've been off it for decades.
So that was my excitement. In answer to your question, Leroy, that was my excitement for the week. Okay. Last week, my excitement was, I thought I had COVID, but it turned out I didn't. All of a sudden, I got what I thought was a bad sinus infection and all kind of drainage and so forth and so on. The second day, it segued into headache and body aches and so forth and so on. The sinus infection went away. And then for 2 or 3 days, it was just body aches and headaches and blah, 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 blah. And I discovered that ibuprofen in large doses certainly mitigates all that stuff. It reminds me of a problem that I had back, maybe 15 years ago, well, 20 years ago at this point, where I managed to blow out a knee. And I blew out a knee not by doing anything exciting like downhill skiing or anything, but by standing in one place and rotating 90 degrees without lifting my foot. And the thing went bam. I mean, you could literally hear it go bam. And the guy I was talking to in the hall when this happened said, "Wow, that must have hurt." And I said, "You have no idea." My leg immediately swelled up to the point where my pants looked ballooned. I went to Kaiser to be treated, and they said, "Oh, we've got to send you over to our whatever it is, sports medicine area." And they know how to deal with all this kind of stuff because all the sports types have these kinds of problems. So I go there and I'm interviewed by this young doctor, and he said, "Oh yeah, we'll fix you right up. We'll give you therapy." And I said, "Okay, what's this therapy?" He said, 800 milligrams of ibuprofen every 4 hours. And I said, "You're kidding." He said, "Nope, He said, you can't do this very long because this would be hard on your kidney and your livers and so forth and so on. But he did, and he was sure right, man. It fixed me right up. And I could have walked into a wall and it wouldn't make any difference. But that's amazing stuff if you got a lot of aches and pains.
I take 2 ibuprofen every morning.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
for that reason. I wake up, my tooth was bothering me or something. I take 2 ibuprofen. I'm good for the rest of the day.
Vodka's better for you.
Yeah, ibuprofen works. I mean,
It's not good for your kidneys or liver.
I do very moderation though. I mean, it's only 2 tablets is, I think,
It's 400 milligrams a day.
400 milligrams. So,
Yeah, 400 milligrams a day of ibuprofen is not a lot. They on the
but it works. It does what it.
oh yeah, it definitely does. My father used to swear by Tylenol,
Yeah,
and he loved Tylenol because he didn't get any stomach upset or whatever. Tylenol for me never did anything.
Amen to that.
I mean, I could have swallowed a handful and wouldn't have made any difference because it didn't make the pain go away, but ibuprofen certainly did.
Yeah. Amen to that.
ibuprofen. If I wake up and I've got an exceptional bad toothache, I take pop a couple of ibuprofens and I'm good the rest of the day. Every great once in a while, I have to take 2 more about midway through the day, but that doesn't happen very often. And I don't take it. I mean, I really only take it when my tooth is really bugging me. So I don't know if I don't think I will get the buildup like some people would.
Well, the Tylenol, actually, they caution you because that definitely will do the number on your kidneys, particularly if you have any alcohol with it. So if you have a couple of beers and Tylenol, that's just not good for you at all. But I never found Tylenol did much for me, but ibuprofen seems to do the job.
The only Tylenol that ever did anything for me was Tylenol with codeine, and that just put me to sleep.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Tylenol 3.
Yeah,
That stuff. That stuff will definitely make the pain go away. It also, in my opinion, to some degree, limits your cognitive abilities also. So
I always thought when it knocks you out, so you don't know if you're in pain or not.
that's true. That's true. Hey, Vicente, how you doing?
Hi, Art. How are you?
Good. And you?
Leroy, what happened in your head, Leroy?
What?
What?
You have a bandage in your
Oh.
head? Oh, okay.
It's my Batman. It's my
Okay,
Batman.
okay. Great.
Santa.
Santa.
So you're a blue Santa, huh?
The grandkid got that for me, said that I had to wear this from now on.
Okay.
Hey, Vicente, I thought you were going to be here today. I
Yeah,
got
me
you a present.
too. Me too. Me too.
I got you a present.
What's that?
Looks like a Batmobile.
What?
Yeah, it's all for you, but you're not here.
Oh my God.
Very nice.
I have no car today.
Trapped with no car, huh?
So where did you get that, Leroy? Is that one of did you find that in your storage cabinet?
You don't. I have close to 300 Batmobiles right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm insane. It's all right. This all started during the first lockdown. I had bought I bought a Batmobile at
Okay.
Kroger. And then I just went crazy and started buying Batmobiles. And in about 2 years' time, I have got almost 300 of the stupid things now.
Nice hobby. I like Batmobiles.
Well, Vicente, I'm giving you the bug. I'm gifting you a gift that will always keep you buying Batmobiles.
Okay.
So have you managed to clone them using 3D printing?
No, these are
Metal casting.
yeah, we need some die cast molds or
Die
something.
cast. Yeah.
So those are all metal, those aren't plastic.
They're 98% metal. There's, I mean, the wheels are plastic and the seats and stuff are plastic. It's mostly metal, yeah.
I saw my Roku TV on my computer. I did doing some IP stuff. I said, freaking Roku, it's ready to go. Dang.
So this thing, they had a pallet of these at work and said, if you want one, take one.
I want one.
I want one.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get some more.
Dump them off here at your club.
I-
Yeah.
What I think is interesting is this little USB thing has a little USB receiver that plugs in.
Okay, yeah.
So
Why
Nobody can
didn't
see that.
they just make it part of this?
okay.
Why is it USB?
Yeah. Oh,
It is a
okay.
wireless audio video adapter for your computer or TV. It says wireless
Wait a minute.
like 3 times in the
No, a
title.
USB to your TV.
Oh, it's HDMI to your TV.
Oh, it's HDMI VGA. But this little receiver
Is
is
USB.
USB. And I'm curious what happens if I plug that into another computer.
Guess what? Can't hurt anything.
So
Do you have a HDMI connector on the receiver?
no.
So
So this thing has to convert from USB to HDMI
okay.
off of a little receiver in there. It just seems like they added extra circuitry for no apparent reason.
Where's the HDMI connector?
On there? You hook
That's not
this to your
HDMI.
TV.
Oh, there it is.
Bum, bum, bum,
Okay,
bum.
cool.
I don't think it.
Okay. So it's from your TV, yeah, okay, from your TV.
It may just be a USB connector and not actually do anything. I don't know.
It doesn't show up. It doesn't show
At
up
all?
as anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got HDMI jacks on my computer, so I'm going like, what? So that would be like a second
Doesn't do
monitor.
anything at all. That's
It doesn't show up as anything.
run that as tail dash F. Whoop. No, control C. Tail dash F space /var/log/messages.
Yeah, sure.
Slash var slash
log
log.
messages or
Yes.
syslog, whatever. I think you're syslog. Now unplug it. Okay, it does see something. Disconnect device number 7. Hit enter twice. Now plug it back in.
Oh, there it goes. It enumerated. that.
Wireless USB dongle. It's got a serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nice. Huh.
But it doesn't
Doesn't say what it is.
And it doesn't really show up as anything, unless it's this WISR LTD, that just showed up. Yep, that's what it is.
Yeah,
That just showed up. And now it's not, oh,
Slow down.
it took it a couple of seconds to enumerate last time. There it is. WIS.
You're pointing at your screen.
I am pointing at my screen. There it is. That's what it is right there.
Was there limited?
So it took it a couple of seconds to show up though. So I probably blew it up by plugging it and unplugging it.
Mine shows up as yeah, about the same.
This thing is, you've got it's a USB connector from the computer too.
Yeah, I've got the other end plugged in here. The
And
bent
there's
one plugs in.
HDMI is on the other, on the receiving end, on the TV end. That's what I was missing.
I figured that it plugged into the HDMI. Man, this is very interesting.
Won't be easier to use a 4-foot cable
For what?
for audio and just a cable.
Oh, well, if you're 30 feet, and this thing says 30-foot range, and if you're in
No much. 30 or 13.
30,
Oh, it's something, yeah.
and it says that you can use both HDMI and VGA at the same time.
really?
Oh,
So the dock has both an HDMI port,
uh-huh.
and a VGA port, and there's the audio for the VGA. So I'm assuming that HDMI also carries the audio,
And it uses display link drivers.
and it uses display link drivers.
How much is this stuff?
So there's a pallet of them at work. I have no idea why they bought them,
Yeah,
but they buy things a pallet at a time, sometimes 10.
Because they can.
Yeah.
So it says,
Leroy do the same all the time.
yes. It says, this should date it right here. It is Windows XP
Ooh.
Service Pack 3 compatible.
This is,
yeah.
Yeah, this is dated. That's why they're giving them away.
Yeah, I can't think of a use for one for myself. Except the remote feature is nice. That could pop up
the
somewhere.
remote feature.
The wireless feature. It's a wireless.
Yeah.
I could show up. Like I have what they call a rabbit, which reproduces my TV box
Mhm.
in the other room.
And the IR signal, which is handy. At least mine does.
IR.
Yeah, for the remote.
Oh, mine doesn't do the remote now.
Really? Check
No,
to see if there's
mine's about 20 years old now.
check to
It's
see if
handy.
there's a jack on it.
Some of them don't, yeah, like the early ones did.
Yeah, this is a founded at the the redo store, for $10.
That's interesting. So it locks it in, it can.
We use it for.
No, that's so
Yeah.
if you hang it on a wall, you can make it vertical. There's a little slider under there.
I repeat the family room and the kitchen. So when we walk in the kitchen for dinner, if we're watching TV, we can just watch it in the kitchen.
This is
I can almost guarantee those two ports are just wired together. So that's why they've got the slider.
They've got
Don't
to.
plug two things in at once.
So in theory though, since this shows up, you should be able to send me video. Now, how would we use that?
From his
From his
computer, we could
laptop,
plug it into the HDMI port there.
from his laptop,
Yeah, off the USB. He could use it as a second screen.
now wait. We're gonna try an experiment, and I'm gonna share the screen so everybody can see me being crazy and doing experiments.
Well, mine doesn't yet recognize this thing as,
As anything,
yeah.
let's see. If we go,
Oh, that's right. That's not Windows.
I don't have,
You want to plug it into
OBS.
yours, see what yours does with it?
Mine's not Windows either.
I don't have OBS installed on this laptop. I was thinking, though, if OBS recognizes the receiver, you might be able to stream to,
Mhm.
that would be
That would be cool.
interesting.
Yeah,
That would be interesting.
of course, that's what this does,
Right.
but it doesn't do sound. Actually, there's some talk about adding sound. The chip in there is able to do sound. All right, this is a toy you should get.
What's that?
Ooh. I've got an application I actually do. My security monitor,
Pi
Oh, the other
KVM.
a remote security monitor.
Ah,
That would be great.
It is a KVM.
Well,
is this a Ethernet KVM?
yes.
So this is what your topic is Saturday then, right?
Yes.
And where do you get this?
PiKVM.org. Wow, this thing's warm.
This is a Kickstarter?
Yes. They'll go on sale as regular things early next year. Pretty straightforward to assemble. One of the things I don't really like about their website is it comes up all compressed and there's little arrows and you click on them to expand each section. And if you forget a section, things don't work. So yeah, their website lacks a little linearity that I like, but that's okay.
So what are these things supposed to cost when they go on retail market?
Probably just the hat is going to be about 130.
And the hat gets used on a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, can go on pretty much any Pi, including the Raspberry Pi 02.
Really?
This one, I've got a Raspberry Pi 4 in here because I like the Pi 4. It's a pretty neat little trick and it's some neat stuff. Log in Saturday, I'll show you. But yeah,
Okay.
you can load firmware on this thing and boot from it. It has a network cable that goes to a little fan out board that you can put inside of your computer to press the power switch or the reset button, or pay attention to the LEDs for power or the hard drive. It's kind of fancy.
So what was your contribution to Kickstarter for this?
200.
And that entitled you to 1 unit when they finally release?
Yeah, I got one and their official steel case. And it was a cool toy.
Wow.
It was worth $200 to me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll certainly end up getting at least one more. But I have a machine over at the kids' house that every time it restarts, I've got to type in a password, and wasn't really comfortable giving my kids the password for it. So this lets me do that remotely. You can also install a VPN client on it so that when it connects, even if you don't have the router set up so that you can forward to it, which you shouldn't do anyway, you can still connect to it over your VPN.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Still kind of, it's still a little
it's well
warm.
insulated.
It's still a little warm. You said that you was using display.
I thought it was, but then I started reading and somebody was going, I hope it uses DisplayPort.
Oh,
Or not DisplayPort, display, whatever it is.
Huh. So Linux may not have the proper drivers to make that work.
Yeah. And
That would be sad.
nothing may have them.
and hence,
There's you got. And it have a CD, there's a CD.
Has a CD, yeah. Who's got a computer that reads CDs anymore?
I can still read CDs.
Let's see what happens when I plug it into this thing.
One of my computers still has a CD. I kept it on purpose. On purpose. I kept it on purpose. Yeah, it says XP Service Pack 3 or Windows 7, 32 or 64-bit. XP only 32-bit.
Okay.
whoa,
Probably, if you've got a Windows 10 machine, probably could jigger the Windows 7 drivers to work. It won't like it and it won't be happy with it, but it probably could do it.
I had no idea it was as old as it is. I might not have picked up the box if I had known.
It's interesting. That one SDR that I've got that I swear I had working with Linux
Mhm.
now only wants to work with Windows. And I started reading and I'm like, maybe I never did have this thing working with Linux because it seems like it's a Windows only kind of thing.
Well, I've used some SDR stuff in Linux. Trying to remember the K radio or something. I don't remember.
It is it's an HF SDR and it's kind of interesting. It works really well, but you have to use Windows to do it. And now I'm kind of glad I didn't get rid of all the Windows machines.
You can forward the USB port and do wonderful things in VirtualBox.
Yeah, except that when I tried that in VirtualBox, it kept connecting and disconnecting, connecting and disconnecting. I don't know, maybe the VirtualBox just wasn't fast enough to keep up with it.
When you say SDR HF, you're talking about up to 10 meters or what?
It actually goes from 600 kilohertz to 2 point something gigahertz.
2 point something gigahertz.
Yeah. Yeah, and the software for it supports everywhere in between, but it's not it's not as friendly to use as it could be. Basically, it has buttons for different bands, and they're predefined buttons. So you hit the band that you want, and it's kind of a pain to tune outside of the band that if it's not selected. But it works. I mean, and it really works well now that I've strung an antenna across the ceiling of the room. About a 17-foot antenna, and it pulls all kinds of signals in. 40 has been very active the past couple of days. 20, I'm hearing some stuff on 20, but not too much. That little micro SDR that Jim bought, it's weird. It works, but not with my antenna. It does not like my antenna.
That's just.
What kind of a connector does it have?
Which one? The
Yeah.
micro?
Yeah, the micro.
He doesn't have an outside antenna. That's
Yeah.
his problem.
I don't have an outside antenna.
I got two.
No,
I got two receivers, and neither one of them worth a crap inside. I've been outside antenna. That's all you need.
The one that Jim bought, the micro SDR, works really well with an outside antenna. Just doesn't work well with my antenna.
That's not outdoor.
Yeah, but
What we just said.
the SDR dongle thing works pretty well with the antenna I've got. So.
Does it detect single sideband? It does. So you can listen with the SDR dongle. Oh, that's interesting. It's more sensitive.
It is a lot more sensitive.
So when plugging this thing into Windows 10, it says unknown USB device, invalid configuration descriptor, driver error.
Oh,
Nice. So that is a Windows XP deal. Well, it
Well,
was
that
nice
was the
that
one
they
you
gave
had
it
to
to you.
There's only 384 of them left.
dang.
They're going to be quite
So what did they do? Take this in lieu of payment for some legal fees or something?
Oh, I have no idea. No, you would be amazed at some of the pallets of stuff sitting in the warehouse.
I would.
Do you need an old Sunfire V420 server?
I doubt it.
Weighs about 180 pounds.
That sounds like a good scrap thing.
I don't understand why a group of attorneys would even have a warehouse.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, so you don't know. I'm no longer there.
Oh.
I quit the Reisenfeld and Associates and moved on. I'm now working for Siemens in Milford.
Where's Siemens in Milford?
Where the SDRC building was. Siemens bought SDRC. It's up, if you go through Milford, go out Lila, go underneath 275. It's up on it's up on top of that ridge there.
Oh, so it's out east of 275 on 50?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So when did this happen? I missed 1 week and all of a sudden.
I started there the Monday after Thanksgiving.
So, okay. And you're still doing sysadmin kind of stuff or something else?
Yeah, I'm a Linux system administrator in the infrastructure department. Siemens is kind of a big deal. They've got round numbers, probably 8,000 servers, physical servers in the Milford location. And just one cluster of VMware servers has 780 machines running on it. It's a fun toy.
I guess. Yeah, Siemens is a huge company. Does that site, is that strictly an IT site, or do they support like their X-ray division or their
So
MRI division or what?
SDRC developed a piece of software called NX, which is CAD/CAM stuff. And
Yeah.
that's still being developed there. That's why they bought that company. They use Siemens uses that software, and rather than pay the licensing fees, they just bought SDRC.
Yeah. When you're the 100,000-pound gorilla in the field, you can do that. Yeah.
But it is fun and interesting, and I'm quickly discovering how much I never knew.
So are you strictly on site there, or do you have to go travel the world for Siemens?
I won't be traveling, but it's an option in the future if I want to. I spent years traveling, and I'm not all that interested in doing it now. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, they've got sites literally almost everywhere. I mean, there's huge Siemens sites in the Bay Area. A lot of it having to do with CAT scan and MRI and that kind of stuff.
Right. They have 6 data centers in the US. The one closest to California is Wilsonville, Oregon. They've got one in St. Louis. They've got one in Minnesota or something. I don't know. No cooling issues there. There's one in Ireland, and I mean, they're scattered all over the place. Basically, for my job, I have 6 peers in the US. And yeah, I'm trying to catch up with years and years of information now.
Well, it's nice to work for a company that has money, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. My laptop went out of warranty a couple of months ago, and my replacement is already ordered. So that's interesting. Reisenfeld had a thing of buying refurbs from Dell's refurb site. So it was not only out of warranty when we got it, but had been out of warranty for a long time. Yeah, I spent today setting up a couple of Dell R640 rack mount servers that had quad CPUs at, I think, 16 cores per CPU. One box with 64 cores and 256 gigs of RAM. Or, yeah, I think. I don't know. They were freaking huge. It's fun.
No, you can heat your house with what those things take in terms of power.
Yeah, so this site has 4 generators, and they start up every Tuesday for a power test. They auto start if they lose power, and they've got a room the size of this filled with batteries that will keep things running for about an hour. So they've got about an hour to get the generators started when the power goes out, and they pre-start them in bad weather.
So what are those? Are those like big diesel motor generators?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the data flowing.
Does anybody
So this is basically a really hardened site.
charge of volts? I think 5 volts.
Okay, good.
That's the best part of the deal, right?
Yeah. He got deal going there.
Says 2010 on the box.
Yeah, okay.
It's,
You need to find out what kind of connectors you have.
it's a barrel, it's a little
So-
barrel,
Little barrel.
Oh, okay.
little barrel.
Yeah, about the size of your laptop.
How many amps? They probably got pretty good current on it. I'll check
Well,
it
if the receiver makes as much heat as the transmitter, it's gonna be about 4 amps.
out. Okay. Yeah. Right.
You don't want that? You run Windows.
I would use it for the power supply. It's not gonna run Windows 10 or Windows 10 and all that, yeah.
Certainly not 11.
I'll
So is anybody running Windows 11 these days?
running away from Windows 11.
Okay.
Actually, at Reichenfeld, I was running a Windows 11 VM. I wasn't too disappointed with it.
Really?
Yeah,
Mine 7.
I put together a machine for my mom and I put Windows 11 on it. And the only change I made was to move the taskbar over to the left instead of being centered. So she doesn't know. She still thinks it's Windows 8.
None of the computers I've got are technically
Yeah.
compatible
There you go,
with
let me
Windows
look at that.
11.
I wanna see
Yeah,
my current.
every place I've got Windows running, all it tells me the hardware is not capable of running Windows 11.
You-
So I don't know what Windows 11 takes, but
It's a stupid TPM module.
really,
Yeah.
Which you can get as an add-in card, but yeah,
The TPM is what causes most of them to fail.
huh?
yeah, it has to be TPM 2.0
Or
or
better,
above.
or better.
Yeah,
And all my machines, this one, I don't even have the
How many
TPM.
amps is that? Can you see? 1? Yeah.
5 volt, 1 amp,
Wow.
little tiny. Wow, that is a really tiny little plug.
That's the standard 5. The newer 5s are actually smaller than that. But yeah, that's the old.
Not to
5,
me.
I think. No?
To me, the standard size plug is what's on an Arduino.
Yeah.
So do you want that?
And I'm packing it back up for him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 1 amp too small.
Shuffled it off.
I got 1 amp all over the place. My cameras guys need 2 amps. Okay. Somehow. I get it.
Jim took it out of the box and can't get it back in the box.
Is that a surprise for you?
So- Under this, hooks in through that hole right there.
Okay, that's a lot better. Now we can just get the back.
To me, the best part is the box.
The box. The box has been designed
I
very well.
I always liked all the stuff that Micro Center came in that box, and I'd fold it backwards so I could ship stuff out.
I really don't know what I'm going to do with it, but if I get it to work at all, I will report back that it works.
If the receiver is recognized by OBS, somebody has to have made a driver for it that'll work in better versions of Windows.
I would think so.
Sacrilege. Better versus Windows.
It,
Well, I was
just
pretty
because,
unimpressed by 7 and 8.
just because it says this if this company's still around, they may have actually
Yeah.
updated the drivers. If this company's not still around. then-
Will it go through a wall as a key code?
It's
30 feet. Nah.
30 feet, but it's,
Give
where
or
is
take
it?
25.
Or 900.
UWB radio compliance. So if we look up UWB radio compliance,
What frequency?
7.
What? 7023?
for office web browsing, 1.6 gigahertz. No, that's the computer. Okay. 1.6 gigahertz. If we look up UWB compliance, and it probably means something different than it did. So, yeah, ultra wideband.
Ooh, so that's gonna screw with every bit of equipment in your house.
It depends on what frequency it's on. It's 900 megahertz, maybe not. If it's 2.4 gigahertz, then it's going to screw everything up.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, the transmitter, when I dropped it, I could hear the antenna in there ringing. It's got a little coil of wire.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably crack that open and get a good guess on what the frequency is.
They use ultra wideband transmitters and receivers to do very precise indoor navigation.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
down to 10 centimeters.
That's not.
But
That
what-
is precise.
What,
That ultra wideband, we had cell phones that were ultra wideband. Those were cool. I mean, you didn't have dead spots wherever you want to go.
Yeah, this it doesn't. I don't see anywhere that says what frequency they're on. They're compliant with European, Japan, Korea, and China, and the US FCC.
Not to be disparaging, but what does it take to be compliant with China?
Probably more than it takes to be compliant in the States. I would say, I don't know, Europe has some pretty tough
Yeah.
rules to get compliance.
So did you look up the company?
No. Altona, I guess is what we need to do is open the box back up and get the FCC number off of the off the device, and then we could look up.
Advantages over RFID, BLE, and Wi-Fi.
Seem to still be in business. They still make that product just for Windows XP.
What surprised me, actually.
Can do it. What?
Products.
Yeah.
Frequency range 3.1 to 10 gigahertz.
They don't even have this listed in their products anymore.
Look under support.
I did.
32.8
No,
to
the support.
656.
That's new.
Max transmission, 480 megabits per second.
Help center, contact technical support.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very helpful.
Okay, I will give this. I have gotten really addicted to Dell's product support.
Air. So basically they're saying you're screwed.
But they still make similar things.
Cam and tilt cameras.
Look at that 4K receiver there.
That might be something. That's HD base T. That's overheating. I'll research it.
Good luck.
Pull the FCC numbers off of the off the devices, and the FCC website will tell you all kinds of. It'll give you it. They've got the all the test data and everything, and they'll tell you what frequency and all kinds of stuff that you don't need to know. They keep all that stuff. It's all there. It may not be current.
Yeah.
And I've found that they archive some of it, so some of it takes like a while for it to finally chunk through and
Oh, really?
retrieve, but they've got it
Cool.
all. It's all there. I guess because people still have pallets of these things. This probably was an expensive deal back in the day.
So Steve, so this palette of stuff is not with your former attorney clients, it's with the current Siemens client?
Right.
Okay.
Now it makes more sense why they would have stuff like this, right?
Yeah, kind of semi at least. So they have a large warehouse someplace. Is this warehouse also in Milford?
Yeah. It's not a huge
Okay.
warehouse. They're doing staging right now and cleaning stuff out because we're expecting a quarterly purchase of a couple of hundred servers. And I asked about it and they're like, oh yeah, take one of those. Okay.
We don't care. We wrote that off 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I take it that all these pallets of stuff were purchased by the company before Siemens bought the company. Is that correct?
Oh, I doubt it. Siemens has owned that for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
At least 10 years.
They probably had some project somewhere that they needed to do something wireless, and in order to get a better price break, they had to buy 1,000 of these things.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Let's buy 1,000 of those. We'll get them for $75 a piece.
And then they plugged one in and the network team called up and said, what did you just plug in? You can't do that.
I know I've been around companies that think like that though, that, oh, we only really need 2 or 3 of those, but we can get a price break if we buy 400.
Yeah.
Let's buy 400.
So it's like going to Costco and buying a pallet of bars of soap.
Right.
So you get a price break.
Yeah, same kind of mentality. And knowing that Siemens is a technology company, they probably figured they would find a use for them somewhere
Mhm.
and never found a use for them.
Nope. Which is fine.
It might have worked for a few years, you know,
Yeah.
it's old stuff, it probably worked good. But that ultra wideband stuff, they also encrypted using that. They're doing switching frequency constantly. They encrypt the hell out of it, find that, figure out where that is. They're both switching at the same.
You turn on your SDR near that thing.
I've seen a couple of the ultra widebands. It's interesting. I was doing something on web SDR the other day, and I was watching or listening to stations in DC, and there was something there that was just sweeping across the band. It was just, I'm like,
A DC.
what is that?
Yeah, take your pick, yeah.
It was on the 40-meter band, and you could see it. It was just sweeping right across the band, and then it would start over. And I'm like, oh, they're sending, that's some government deal, sending some data.
But it's like that VSWR thing, the automatic thing. That's all they're gonna do. They're gonna sweep the band and measure the VSWR and give you a nice curve.
I was listening to 5 megahertz, whatever that is, but 60 meter. That is a very interesting band to listen to, especially in DC. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in there.
When I lived in Vegas, all of the casinos had wideband transmitters, and they would just flood everything nearby with ads. This has been 25 years ago, so I doubt they do that anymore. But it was awful. I mean, you couldn't drive down the street and listen to the radio. It'd just swamp out anything you were trying. If you stopped at a light, you'd
Oh yeah.
just get a mix of all 4 casinos.
Come to our casino. We'll give you coins.
Make you happy.
You want to see this thing?
Yeah.
This thing is a nano VNA.
Very nice accessory.
Very nice accessory. It's a antenna analyzer.
Wow, that's cool.
So I've got a crappy rubber duck. Actually, it's a halfway decent rubber duck that I took off my Anytone radio. And let me see. We do not need to know all this stuff. We're going to get rid of a couple of these things. We're going to get rid of blue trace because I don't know what that blue trace is. And we're going to get rid of the red trace, and then we're going to be left with a Smith chart and the SWR. So I'm scanning the entire thing that it can do from 50 kilohertz clear to 900 megahertz. So you can see there's a couple of dips there. This antenna is,
You got a reflection band.
Yeah.
Let's see. That better or worse? Check this
You're reflecting the ceiling lights on the face of the,
put it back
It
down.
more horizontal. Or
Like
vertical.
this?
No, that.
Oh, that's, yeah.
There we go.
that's much better.
You can see there's 2 dips.
Yep.
So this antenna is supposed to be a 2 meter and 440 antenna. So I can use, I can't see what I'm doing. It's backwards. So
Why don't you cut it down to like, 120 to 150? That'd give you a little, it'd be hard to, that thing is interesting.
So the first dip, you can see there's a maybe can see that there's a number 1.
Yeah.
little arrow,
Well,
and it says that is 207 megahertz. So it's not quite 2 meter. That is the best SWR that it gets right now. And you know, these rubber ducks are not great anyway.
Oh, yeah, that's a UHF. 200 something.
So is it
yeah.
sending out a sweep of frequency
A
and
very small.
listening for the dip?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second dip there, the little triangle deal is at the second dip,
Yep.
and that says 432 megahertz.
There you go. That's.
Well, you
fine.
know what that is? That's the 433.92, which is used for all of those pulse devices that,
Yeah.
you know, everything from your car lock to your garage door opener to your security systems and so forth and so on. That's, I would bet that that's actually 433.92.
You can tune your antenna with that. That would be good.
Yeah, it's
Put
an
your-
antenna.
Wind your choke.
You can use this as an antenna tuner, but you can see as I move the antenna around how the SWRs are changing.
Yeah.
Because a rubber duck is not.
So
Shut the
if I
wire.
beep a remote, will that see it?
I don't know. Try it.
Nope.
Yep.
But the round circle thing is the Smith chart, and I really don't understand what the Smith chart is trying to tell me. But
Yeah, from my reading on that, it says that's a directional antenna.
Yep.
yeah, because of where the dips are or where the lobes are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I read that. but-
I don't know how it could know that.
So where did you get this, Leroy?
I got this one off of eBay, and I think it was about $60. And there are technically better ones that you can Bluetooth to your cell phone and record all the data and do everything, but I don't need all that. It came with 3 little do flippies. These are how you calibrate it. So I haven't calibrated this recently, so it may be slightly off calibration, but I'm going to go with rubber ducks are just crap. And it comes with,
I don't know.
it's
That
not
has-
bad. This one's better than this one,
Yeah.
actually. But it comes with a couple of different kind of SMA connectors, because of course you've got the male
Mhm.
connectors and you've got the female style connectors. So you need that. And then if you want to analyze a UHF antenna or some other antenna, you got to get an SMA to UHF adapter or whatever. But it'll analyze it because it goes from that 50 kilohertz clear up to a gigahertz, and it'll analyze all the antennas in between. And there's settings in there where you can narrow it down so that you're not sweeping the entire band and do all kinds of stuff. And there's just a ton of settings in this thing. And I got it because I wanted to find out what the antenna on the black and white was. Turns out it was a 900 megahertz antenna. That's why I had to go clear up to.
Do you have a 3/8 inch ball connector or screw-in connector on your black and white? A 3/8 inch antenna connector
Yeah,
because they sell ham antennas for it. The ham stick is not that expensive and it is 3/8 inch screw me in. And you can adjust it. It's built with a It's already got the loading, the coil in it. It's just a ham stick.
I've already got a 2-meter antenna on it
Why would you want a 2-meter?
because I have a 2-meter radio in the car.
Who uses 2-meter radio? I got a CD, that works good.
A lot of people use 2-meter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I had a Volkswagen Beetle with a CD in it. They had a 10-foot whip antenna on the rear bumper. I almost got in a wreck. I jam on the brakes and that thing was and popped my front windshield. Damn. I avoided the wreck and then my windshield was gone.
If I'm going to put an HF antenna on it, I'm probably going to mount a ball to the side of the car. Do a 102-inch whip antenna.
Okay.
Actually, you're already using 2. You're probably gonna go through a repeater anyway, right?
What? No, if I put an HF in
If
the
you're
car,
using 2 meters, you're probably going to use a repeater anyway.
yeah.
So why would you put an antenna on it anyway? I don't know. Use a walkie-talkie and hello.
I've got an actual 2-meter radio in the car. A mobile 2-meter radio.
I have no idea. What do you use it? I don't know. You got a handy talkie that'll go through a repeater, probably.
Yeah.
Most repeaters. So you don't need a fixed on this tool.
Yeah. And I have a 2-meter 440 radio.
You got a base station?
It's not a base station, it's a mobile. I mean, technically, all these are 2-meter 440, or both of these are 2-meter 440.
That's fine. Yeah, and you really don't need the external antenna. Drive around on TV.
Real antennas are nice though.
Okay, if you like antennas, yeah, that's good. True point to point. That's fine. We got to get out of here anyway. It's time.
Oh, is it time? All right, DSR radio,
Glad to drop by.
DMR radio.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, that's it. We'll see you later.
See you next week.
I like your car.